Okay, Tartuffe learning frame. We're just gonna jump in because I don't want to go over 10 minutes. So, number 1. What prominent ideals or factors of society during the place-time are enforced, negotiated, or resisted? The first thing that came to mind when I was looking at this question was the officer's long speech at the end where you think he's gonna arrest our buddy Orgon or Khan. Sometimes it was a C and sometimes it was a G. Pretty sure it's Orgon though. When we thought he was gonna arrest our man, but then he arrested Tartuffe, and it's like, yay. And he's giving this long speech about the king, which is obviously referring to King Louis, which I thought was really interesting because at the time this play was produced, it was they performed it for King Louis in France. So obviously the idea to elevate the king and regard him with high value even in a fictional performance, that's obviously influencing this whole play. It's also the rules of neoclassicism French theater are also very there. Takes place in one place, takes place in a short period of time. It's very much a comedy. It's not, although it's some serious subjects sometimes, it's still most definitely within the genre of a comedy. So all those roles and social issues are really strongly enforced, I would argue. Also, I was thinking about the gender roles of this show, because you have Dorine, who's kind of challenging a little bit of those roles in a way. She's very outspoken and saying her mind, but she kind of gets away with it because she's lower class than Marianne, who is a lady and does not behave like Dorine at all, really. And while some of this because of their character, I also think the societal roles of women, high-class women, are expected to behave a certain way, and that is shown through Marianne's behavior through the show, I would argue. Okay, number 2. How can I bring the lessons of this production into clarity and practicality in my real life? So the show deals with a lot of religious hypocrisy with Tartuffe's character, and I thought this was interesting because we live, or at least on campus, and kind of in Provo and in Utah overall too, in somewhat of a religious community. Obviously, not everybody's of the same faith, but a lot of people are, which is unique in the world as a whole. So this kind of brings about a unique community, and while this is awesome and presents so much opportunity for growth and spiritual enrichment in our learning, it's great, love it. It also can be a place where religious hypocrisy exists. I feel like sometimes socially, I think it's easy to fall into habits of not realizing that everybody is on their own journey with their own testimony and things, and not being considerate enough. And obviously, I don't think lots of people are the level of religious hypocrites that Tartuffe is, but it's a reminder that it can be like that. We shouldn't judge others. We shouldn't use religion to justify bad things. Well, I know I was a jerk, but I went on a mission. That's not okay, And so this show kind of brings a reminder of that to me, on how I should be treating others and how we all should be treating each other in our community. Number 3, which character did I relate to most or least? How might relating to this character shape my identity and goals? So Dorine was my favorite character and the character I related to most, because she just did not put up with any of the crap that everybody was giving her. She constantly called out Orgon and Marianne and Valier, her Marianne's lover. She constantly called them out on all their BS, which I thought was really cool, and I can relate to her, let's say, jumping the gun, saying things that we feel because we're passionate about it. I relate to that, and I think that reveals about me that I care a lot about just stuff in general, which is good, but also sometimes I need to tone it back when there is not a Tartuffe in place. That's not always the best option, to just jump the gun and say whatever you feel, because sometimes that can mean consequences, and sometimes it can mean you hurt others. So reveals that about me. Yeah. Also, Dorine shows me that sometimes that can be good. So I should embrace that part of myself as well and not like hate it and suppress it, but just realize when I should be using that and be smart with my choices. Number 4, were there parts of this play that reminded you of previous theatrical experiences I've had? How did this influence my experience? Discuss in light of Carson's work on haunted theater. So it reminded me a lot of previous comedies that I've watched, especially, I mean, obviously the language is not like Shakespeare's language very much, but it has that kind of witty, fast pace, especially because I'm a fast reader. It kind of fit into that genre in my mind of things that I've seen before. Like, for example, when Orgon is being like really dumb and everyone is repeatedly trying to, well, that's kind of the whole play, but in those scenes, like when he's with Durin and she's like, you idiot, and it's kind of this funny situational comedy because he just is not seeing sense and everyone's like, oh my god, she's such an idiot. So this influenced my experience because I put this play into a pre-made category in my mind of what I think a comedy is, and so I treated each scene like it was that. So, which reading, like throughout the play, reading this proved, I mean, I think it proved me right that I was right in generalizing it as a comedy. But say that the show went a different direction, like I wouldn't have taken, like actually, for example, the sexual assault scene, like I read that as being a comedy, and if it had been, like, depending on the director's choice, if it was just an actual show, it might be presented differently and more serious, and I wouldn't grasp that full understanding because in my mind, the show is a comedy like the comedies that I've seen before. So, therefore, I am haunted by past comedic performances and my own preconceived conventions of what that looks like. Yes. Okay, number 5. Do I consider this to be holy theater or dead theater, and why? Were there moments when the invisible was made visible? I'm going to be honest, no. Because the themes and the lessons, like, did have some good bits, and it was, like, funny-ish. And I liked it, but it didn't have that, like, transformative element that my experiences of holy theater have had. There was not something profound shared. Like, obviously Tartuffe's a bad guy. Obviously we should try to expel those views and like con men from our society. Like there wasn't anything, and I wasn't also watching a real performance. The repertoire maybe would have made that holy theater element stronger, but there wasn't anything, like I wasn't being touched and like having this transcendent experience, partly because I'm reading a script, I don't have history to the play, I am not super really passionate about French theater in the 1600s, although, you know, who knows what the future may hold. But the point is that this was dead theater because there wasn't any elements that went through me and affected me in a transformative way. That just was not present in the script for me. So yeah, that's my 5 questions. I hope you have a great day.